Hello, beautiful lights. Good morning to you all who are in the United States. And those of you who are not, I hope you've had a fabulous day. I know that there are some people that join us who are actually anywhere from 10 to 12 hours ahead of us. And so sometimes I'll get messages like, have a good night, and it's morning for me. So anyway, wherever you are right now, welcome. If it's morning, if it's night, wherever you are, it's so wonderful to have you here. Hi, Courtney. Thank you for the hearts. Wonderful to have you here. Beautiful light. Yeah, so today is all about boundaries. Today is Wednesday, Angel Michael Day, which I absolutely love. And so with that, I thought boundaries would be a really good topic for this week. So as we allow people to come on, hi, Karen, that is so funny. Karen, first of all, I was just thinking of you. Courtney, thank you so much for saying good morning. I was about to say, drop your comments in and let me know you're here. And even before I could say that, two of these incredible intuitives dropped it in. And there's Jacqueline. Boom. I love you guys. This is awesome. So wonderful to have you here. And I just love it. Hi, Nichelle. Hey, hey, hey. There's my girl. There's my girl. She's a rump shaker. So I love it. And I love you all. And again, it takes anywhere from 3 to 4 minutes for people to hop on. And sometimes even up to 14 or 15 minutes for people to hop on. I'm definitely going to not wait that long, but at the same time, I think it's part of the Facebook algorithm that if you're on for 14 to 15 minutes, they send more notifications out for you, and then more people hop on. So at that point as well, we might get some people that are going to hop on as well. So again, I'm just letting people hop on and teaching you a little bit more about the Facebook algorithm. It's so interesting. So I also wanted to just be able to tell you some things that are happening behind the scenes. So I have recorded 4 meditations. I'm so excited for this. They're guided meditations, and they're anywhere from, hi, Lexi, mwah, hi, beautiful light, boom, boom, pow, right? Silly Facebook. I hear you, Nichelle. And I want to educate you guys on Facebook because I want you to be able to see posts, and I want to be able to see your posts. So I'm going to get into that in just a second. So these meditations, I'm so excited. So these 4 guided meditations, each one assists you with meeting one of your spirit guides. I'm ecstatic about this. So they're all recorded, they're all edited, and now my husband, dear, dear heart, he is working behind the scenes with I'm trying to think, it's called Kajabi, which is where we're going to put our courses as well. He's already spent 15 hours on it. What a saint, huh? And so he's working behind the scenes trying to get these meditations uploaded and trying to help us to, let's see, what did we have to do? We had to compress some of the videos because it was too large, on and on and on. So anyway, so many kudos to him. So that's coming. So that's on the horizon. We're working on that behind the scenes. And then also I wanted to let you know, we're just getting an abundance of people. It's incredible. It's blown me away. I think it's 75 people in the last week. It's blowing me away. And so anyway, I pre-recorded a post and I put it under the pinned post, and not everybody is seeing it because it's the pinned post. So it's supposed to be like every time you refresh the news feed, you should be able to see it, but that doesn't always happen. So what I'm doing, I'm onto Facebook. I'm dropping it into the news feed, and then after a couple hours, putting it back as a pinned post, and then dropping it back down into the newsfeed and pinned post. Yeah, I'm onto them. And so anyway, that tells you the guidelines of the group, how you can work with me, and then also gives you a little tutorial of how to find things. So teaching you how to find, let's see, under the files section, which is on the computer screen, it's going to be on the left-hand side for those of you who are on the computer. And then for those of you on the phone, it's actually going to be your scroll bar at the top that says discussion, events, and if you scroll over, you'll find files. And within those files, I have your protection techniques. I have spiritual books that are inspiring. And I'm going to just keep dropping things in there so that you have this high free value. And so with that also, yay, my hubby is the bomb. Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much, Nichelle. Thank you. I feel that too. I feel we are a power team. We got this. He's incredible. So also, let's see. Oh, also, I wanted to let you know that you can edit those files in the files section. So if you have a spiritual book that you absolutely love that's not on the list, go ahead and I think you can only do it on a computer, but go ahead and edit the document and then just add your spiritual book. So awesome, right? If you find some more protection techniques that work, go ahead and drop that in as well. So that is in the pinned post, but every once in a while I'm going to drop it into the news feed. And again, it just tells the guidelines of the group, that it's a safe, supportive, and encouraging group, and that there's no promotions unless you want to do a Facebook Live on Intuitive Tuesday. So if any of you are inclined, please reach out. I will get you in the schedule, and I would absolutely love to have your expertise in here. And I love it because people in the group just love on the Intuitive Tuesday people. It's just so fun. I love it so much. So that's what's happening behind the scenes. I just want to make sure I'm covering everything for you. Oh, okay. Also, so what I'm noticing as well is that with Facebook, if you post something, I'm not always seeing it. So if you want me to comment on it or to see it, go ahead and tag me. And also, with your comments, what happens is sometimes they get buried if I don't comment on them, and then other people cannot see them. And so what happens is Facebook bumps up posts that have a lot of comments. And so that's why you're seeing some in the top versus others. So if you have this bomb diggity amazing, I got that from Nichelle, bomb diggity, because she's talking about bomb. If you have this amazing post that you want people to see, go ahead and tag me in it, because what's happening is if I comment on it or like it, then it boosts it up. Yeah, just because I'm the administrator. So go ahead and tag me in it. Samantha, she had this awesome, amazing post about changing her line of thinking throughout the week. And she had some amazing images. And I got the notification, but I wasn't able to comment, and I couldn't find it once I got the notification. And so this awesome post is buried somewhere just because I didn't get to comment on it. Isn't that interesting? So again, just go ahead. If you have this awesome, amazing post that you want everyone to see, tag me in it so I can like it, comment on it, and boost it. Okay. Okay. Did you really, Nichelle? You are feeding me lines right now. Okay, I just want to make sure I have absolutely everything for you. Woo. Okay, thank you so much for being here. So again, it is Michael Day, right? It's also hump day, right? So those of you who work Monday through Friday, it is all downhill from here, right? You're on the other side, right? So I love that. So with that, I would love to go ahead and bring Archangel Michael in, and you can, with this, you can in your own mind pick an entity that you resonate with. So if it's not Archangel Michael, it can be a blue light, it can be energy, it can be a feeling. But I just like to bring this entity in to allow us, I miss you too, Nichelle. Mwah. Yes, I love you. To allow us to be protected, okay? So it's so funny. I always tell my spiritual advising students, if anything goes awry, I'm like, have you been doing your protection techniques? And 9 times out of 10, it's a no. So I'm like, okay, do your protection techniques. And again, these can be whatever resonates with you. I just want to give you a little taste. And so Archangel Michael is with the blue cloak. And so I absolutely love Archangel Michael, very protective and just wants to be there for us, wants to protect us, wants to keep us safe. As with all the angels, it's just more of more of the gift for Michael to do this, more of his duty. And so with that, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and take a deep breath, call in Archangel Michael 3 times, and allow him to put the blue cloak over us. For those of you who resonate with a different entity, go ahead and pull that entity in, be it blue light, energy, maybe a different figure, and allow for whatever assists you with protection. If it's not a cloak, you can do that blue light. I have a spiritual advising student that does the blue light, and it works wonders for her. It's perfect. So whatever works for you. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to take a deep breath. Okay, here we go. So then I just call on Archangel Michael, Archangel Michael, Archangel Michael. Please come in and surround us with your blue cloak. Allow for this cloak to cover us from head to toe, and allow us to feel your protection throughout the day. Enlighten love, enlighten love, enlighten love. So really feel what that feels like to you. Sometimes to me it feels a little bit heavier because it's a cloak. And I always feel camouflaged by this. I love that. And I feel like those of us of light, hello, I see somebody else joined us, Miss Jules. Hi, loves. So when my eyes were closed, I could see her doing that. Anyway, with that, we are, for me anyway, it makes me feel like I'm camouflaged. And it's just interesting to me because I feel like all of us are of light and people want that light. They kind of scramble for that light. And so if I have the cloak on, then I don't feel like people are trying to pull. I love you, Jules. I thought you were here. I'm like, is she here? And so people try to pull on that. And so with the protection techniques, they don't have that. They don't have that access. And I think as us light workers, also we want to help, right? And so we're like, sure, go ahead and take my energy. Go ahead and take my light. And the protection techniques are able to assist us with making sure that we're able to keep our own light, and we get to decide where we want to put that light. Yay, Jules. Oh, I love it. It's good to see you. It's good to have you here. I was just thinking about you this morning. I love that. So I feel like that's a really good segue into boundaries. And if you saw the post that I put on of, good, Courtney, I'm glad, honey. Yeah, good, powerful. So the post that I put on about boundaries, and I think I put 3 different posts on, so let me orient you, but I put a post on there, and I think it was 10 benefits of having boundaries. And so really having boundaries is a benefit for you. And it's also a benefit for others, because then we get to decide where we're going to put our gifts, our talents, where we're going to put who we are out to the world. We get to decide that. And that's why I wanted to share this talk about boundaries, is that we get to decide it, and there's so many benefits. And so some of those benefits on there, it was increased self-esteem, increased compassion, feeling an increased sense of respect from people, just increased confidence. And I really feel like with boundaries too, it really helps us. It's almost like a self-care. It really helps us to be in our own energy and not feel scrambled, not feel like we just have this long list of things to do. And I guess I'm saying that, like, I think all of us probably have a long list of things to do, but let me elaborate on that. So I think we have this long list of things to do, but then I think on top of it, we have things behind the scenes in our thoughts that we feel like we have to do too. So I feel like with the boundaries and being able to set those boundaries, a lot of times it can shut those thoughts off and also help us to be able to focus and concentrate on what is number one. Okay, so what is right in front of us? So they're wanting me to go on the thoughts some more, and this wasn't something that I had thought about, but they're just dropping this in as well. When we're thinking about things, thinking about stressors, thinking about various needing to do something for somebody, thinking about conversations we've already had with somebody, and maybe you're thinking, oh, I shouldn't have said that, or I need to remedy that. What happens with that is it actually adds more stress, and it makes us feel like we're doing more in life. Okay, so I think that's why they brought in the to-do list. Again, that wasn't something that was brought in before this talk. It's just being brought in right now. And so our to-do list gets longer and longer and longer if we're thinking of all of these other extraneous things that are not serving us. It adds that stress. It doesn't help. It actually hinders us from feeling like we have enough time. And so with that, boundaries are so important. And originally, this came to me because some of my spiritual advising students, they were having a hard time. Thank you for the likes. They were having a hard time with boundaries with spirit. Okay, so I'm going to start there. And so those of you who do have gifts, and I feel like we all do, I feel like it's just in different ways. Being able to put boundaries on the gifts with spirit. So when I first opened up to spirituality and whatnot, and I'm feeling the same for other people, that as you're opening up, you are experiencing like just incredible downloads, amazing intuitive hits, and sometimes it can be constant. And so this is something that I actually, right from the get-go, I want to tell my spiritual advising students, I want to tell you all who are here, in this group, that we have control. Okay? Because what happens is we get exhausted. We're having these really vivid dreams. We're having that keep us, wake us up. We're being visited by spirit, the 3 a.m. phenomenon, right? That happens anywhere between 2:30 and 4:30 when spirit's like, wake up, we have some insights for you. So we can put boundaries on spirit. And so that's where I want to start, is that we can put boundaries on spirit. And so those of us who, again, I feel like we all have these gifts. And so looking at that, being able to put those boundaries on that. So again, when I opened up, it was, I feel like I had a spiritual awakening about 17 years ago, 18 years ago. And it was just inundated, right? And it was super exciting. It was super awesome. But I got exhausted after a while. And oh goodness, Courtney, you're like, and I woke up at 3:30, right? Okay, so you're feeling it. And so what happens, and it was interesting because when I went through that spiritual awakening then, it was so exciting that I would write nonstop. So one time I wrote, I kid you not, I must have had a lot of time. I was a college student, but I wrote for 8 hours. 8 hours, right? And I think people are like, did your hand fatigue? Like, what's going on there? I went through my day, right? And I think it was a Saturday, so I didn't have a whole lot to do, but I was driving and writing, right? Okay, not a good combo. But at the same time, I was so inundated with spirit that I was just like, oh my gosh, I have to do this. I have to do this. I have to do this. And so I've had other portions that I've like opened up again or gotten more intuitive hits or something like that. And I'm like, I gotta go, I gotta do this, And again, back to beginning that spiritual path or beginning maybe a new line of the spiritual path, we get inundated. And we can put boundaries on that. And so for example, when I first started doing mediumship, I would have so many loved ones, spirits, like on my couch, at my front door, at every door. It was overwhelming. A lot of times the little animals come in, and I loved it because I was so brand new and whatnot. All the little animals come in and they hide underneath my piano. I don't know if they're hiding necessarily or if they just feel like that's their space, like that's their little kennel or something. And then they're right next to my dog Daisy, who has her dog pillow right next to the piano. So I feel like they're like, oh, and she's a herder. So I almost feel like her power, she's really intuitive, Daisy is, but I also feel like because she's a herder, they come close to her. Anyway, point of the story is that it exhausted me. Okay, I was not sleeping. I was sleep deprived, with spirit coming in just constantly. And I loved it. I loved it, loved it, loved it. Except for the benefits of boundaries, I wasn't getting. So I wasn't getting sleep. I was exhausted. I was getting tons of intuitive hits. And with that, it's almost like they're not doing it on purpose. And I just want to say that. That's not their intention. Their intention is not to do it on purpose, okay? More, it's just like, we got one. That's how I see it. Like they're like, there's one open over there. Go, 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 go. Right? Like troops need to go in. And I think with that, it's almost like, because there's not enough of us, right? There's not enough of us. Okay, interesting. Okay, good Jules, I love you. So that happened to you as a kid. Okay. So you got inundated, right? I get it, Courtney. And so we can put boundaries on that. And so somebody shared this, it was really good. Another medium shared this, and they said, as you open up, you have a really bright light. And so it's almost like all of these little spirits are up above, or however you want to see spirit. And they see that light and they're like, boom. And they're coming right to that light. And they're like, we got to just download her and everything. So it's not on purpose. Okay. It's just because there's not enough of us. And so they're kind of going to whoever's open. Right. And we are open. And so we're like, hey, come on in. And it's super exciting. it's just also exhausting. And so it's important to put those boundaries on. And with that, it's interesting too. So after a while, I was just saying, okay, I need to rest tonight. I mean, really, it's all I said. My ears are ringing. It's all I said. And I feel like that's confirmation. I just said, okay, I think I went for maybe a week without sleep, and I love sleep. And so I just said, tonight, you need to step back. I have to sleep. And so that's all they need. They just need us to tell them. It can even be thought to thought. We can just say, please step back. Even if it's our loved ones and we're just like, oh my gosh, I absolutely love you. And they're coming at 3 a.m., 3:30 a.m., whatever it is, we can still put boundaries on them. Like if it's your sister, if it's your grandma, if it's, whoever this is in spirit, you can even say like sis or, friend, whoever this is, grandma, I love you so much, but I really need sleep tonight. Can you find a different way to come to me? And then that can be in ways of signs during the day, in the way of butterflies coming to you, picking up pennies on the sidewalk. What else? Feathers. So you can always ask if they'll come in a different way. And I needed to learn that. Also on that same vein, asking if they can come in a different way is perhaps some of you are seeing apparitions or you're feeling spirit and perhaps you don't like it, and that's okay. We just need to let them know to back off or to change. And so one story I tell in particular, this was a nurse and she passed away in a motorcycle accident. Very sad. Oh my gosh, such a sad situation. And I knew her. I worked at a nursing facility with her. So the very next day, the day after she passed, I was coming out of my bathroom, going down the hallway, and I came to the living room and there she was, plain as day, human. Right? She had her nursing scrubs on, blonde hair, I just saw her plain as day and I went like that and, jumped back. And so a lot of times I just want to interject there that when we do show that fear, they jump back because they don't want us to be in fear. And it's almost like a foreign concept to them because they don't have a body, they don't have ego, they don't have the lower emotions or vibrations. So with that, it's almost as if they're like, oops, and so she disappeared. Boom. I knew she was still there though. She was just kind of hanging out. I could kind of feel her presence. And I just said, her name is Stacy. But I said, Stacy, please don't come in like that again. Please don't. And then I almost had like a talking to with all the spirits. I was like, you need to have a difference here. Like you're either human or you're like a spirit. Okay. And so I thought that was really good because I haven't had that again. And I feel like that was really, really good. Also, like if you're getting like touches or prickles or that kind of thing, you can ask them to change that sensation. And so, so I was reading for one of my spiritual advising students and grandma was coming in and was being so sweet and was just like caressing her face, and so the spiritual advising student, she could feel grandma, except for what she felt was prickles. And it almost felt like, she's like, it feels like a cactus. Tell grandma to back off. And I'm like, oh, honey, you tell grandma to back off, And so it's interesting that really grandma was just doing this. Like I was watching, I was like, oh, she's so sweet. And then the gal was feeling like cactus needles, And so again, it's like our perception. And so that grandma did not mean to do that whatsoever. And so I just said, okay, well, have her change. You can have her change. And so the gal asked grandma to step back. And then when grandma came back in, the gal was ready for her and it was a different sensation. Okay. So you can tell them that too. So again, we're putting boundaries on spirit. I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions or comments, please drop them in. Let's see. Okay. So also something that I've done, and I feel like a lot of light workers do or helpers do, is we want to help everyone. And isn't that the truth? And so we have to put boundaries on that as well. And so boundaries on that. So for example, when I first started mediumship, sometimes it's good to be able to try your skills out. And I also tell people that almost see it as an internship and be able to give people insights, get their validation or confirmation and whatnot. If you're a healer, get in there and kind of do an internship of doing healing on your husband or healing on the dog or something like that. Yet we don't have to do that all the time. And so I feel like what had happened was I would give insights to people all the time. The lady at the gas station, I mean, on and on and on. I'm trying to think of everybody, and I just wanted to help everyone because I was like, I got this superpower and I want to help you. Thank you for the heart. And so with that, I really had to step back because I was getting really, really tired and exhausted. And what I do is when I'm helping, in the spiritual realm, I burn calories. It's super interesting. I get super hungry. Like it'll be like halfway through a reading and I'm like, my stomach's like growling. And so I burn calories when I'm channeling, right? If I'm channeling too much, I'm starving all the time. I'm exhausted. My body's depleted. And so this is from my own experience and also for helping you that we don't need to help everyone. It's not our job to help absolutely everyone, okay? It's fun to get experience and it's fun to have like an internship when we're first learning, but we don't need to help everyone. And so what I tell people is I'm not tapped in right now. So sometimes I'll get people just asking me an insight. What do you think about my boyfriend? Or what do you think about my girlfriend? Or what do you think, and I'm like, oh, I'm not tapped in. And I think that's good for all of us to remember, those of us, like with these various incredible spiritual gifts, is that we don't have to be constantly serving. We need to be human. And so it's interesting when I went to Vegas and I was with my medium friend, right? And we did give each other insights and stuff like that. And it felt really good. It felt like this even exchange and whatnot. It was just really interesting because the majority of the time we were very human. and it felt good to be human. And so again, we can say that. So if we have, this one gal I did a reading on, it was a reading, but it turned into a spiritual advising session on Friday. It was really cool. But she gets like master hits. So there's a master in spirit who just kind of comes in, gives her insights, she shares them, and then the person that she's sharing them with gets really startled because it's really profound and right on track. And then what was happening was the master was just like dropping this gal. So this gal was like up in the heavens, kind of getting all this information, funneling it out to whoever she was with, and then spirit or the master just dropped her and she was back in human form and she was trying to figure out what to do with all of that, and she was like, she's looking at the person that she had just given an insight to. They looked super startled, and so we really talked about that as well, is that you can put those boundaries on spirit then. And so because she's done this so often, so we talked about putting boundaries on spirit and just being like, Master, please gently bring me down. Also, she and I worked on her being able to think before the master threw the information out, before spirit threw the information out. So she was like halting spirit, okay, and then she was able to give it, and then also helping for her to come back into her body not so quickly. But because she was doing this so much, there were so many people that were coming to her, right? And so I envisioned this long line of people, like 10 people, like, okay, she's got insights, and I was like, okay, sweetie, you can do two things. You can monetize it and you can say, sure, make an appointment with me, and you can put a price tag on it. If that doesn't feel comfortable right now, you can put boundaries on it. You can say, I'm not tapped in right now. You have control. Okay. And so for those of you, I just feel like for those of you who are the light workers and the helpers and on have these incredible gifts, looking at that and just really recognizing, thank you for the hearts, love. That's funny. I was waiting for something and then all of a sudden hearts came. Thank you, love. With that, it's just recognizing that there are times that we don't have to be tapped in. We don't. And so that happens to me maybe after readings. People may ask for follow-up, and spirit erases my mind after readings. It's not there, right? And I'm like, thank you, spirit. People may, and this may happen to you as well, or they're just asking you for advice or that type of thing. And you can just say that. You can say, you know what? I'm not tapped in right now. And in all honesty, I'm not. Because if I was, and I have done this, if I was, you would see me sleep deprived. I would be starving because I burned so many calories. Those of you who see me when I have subsequent, like back to back readings, and I may go over one and then whatever. Oh, that's another thing. We're going to talk about boundaries of time. But anyway, they're like in between. I'm like mowing on a granola bar and like, give me some food, And so So for me anyway, I mean, I'll be your example. So you can tell that have good boundaries with spirit and with people when I have enough sleep, when I'm seeing things with spirit eyes out of compassion. Okay, good. And Michelle's like, yeah, I get it. Right. You eat so much. And, and it's good. It's just that we have to pace ourselves. And you know this, Michelle. I know you know this. It's just, I guess out of empathy, you know what I mean? I'm just like, honey, sister, I feel you. And so we do need to pace ourselves, and also to assist people who are coming onto the path to pace themselves, because they're just going to get inundated, and it's okay to turn it off. You'll still get hits. You'll still get intuitive hits. It'll still come all in divine timing, but you get to put the boundaries on there. So I feel like, yay, thank you. So I feel like that segues into people boundaries. And recognizing that with people, so that's funny that I was already talking about time boundaries. And this is a big one for me because I want to help people. I want to help people. And I feel like then with wanting to help people so much, I go over time boundaries, right? My own time boundaries. And then I either feel exhausted or I'm hungry, right? I'm eating like a horse. I may honestly just get resentful, but that's me, and I need to put those boundaries on, so if I'm feeling resentful or that kind of thing, because I'm like, people are taking advantage of my time. Well, who's giving them the time? Me. Right? So it's interesting because somebody had told me long ago that I'm a very good active listener. And so, out of a whole lifetime of needing approval and wanting acceptance, just living with rejection, and that's my theme and my thought patterns, as you know. Then I was like, okay, I can get really good at that. I got too good at it, right? And so people are not realizing that the session's over, or we're done, or let's see, that. And with that, it's almost as if I'm needing to put boundaries, and I'm being like really exposing myself here. And so for the boundaries on me, because I feel like there's a lot of active listeners in here, okay, that for me, what I've been learning is that, definitely have to speak my truth. And what I'm noticing more subtly is that I can start walking away, or I can say, oh, I have to go. And that's okay. That's totally fine to say that. And also I feel like for all of you, it's okay to say that. It's okay to not spend more time than you need to, okay? And I feel like there's so many active listeners right now. I'm like, you're all active listeners. And on the replay as well. Did you see Grandma hop in? Hi, Grandma. She's like, kiss, kiss. That with our active listeners, we can, and because we want to be accepted and whatnot, this is my, what I've kind of come up with is that I start walking away, kind of thing. And then I'll say, okay, well, I got such and such happening. Another thing you can do is even just from the get-go, okay, I have a half hour. Okay, I have 50 minutes. Okay. And again, then you're not zapped. And that's really, as I'm saying this, I'm really wanting all of you to have your energy and have, oh gosh, I just want you to have energy. I want you to be able to continue to have compassion. And I know you have compassion, and I know I have compassion. And sometimes what happens is it switches over to resentment when we're giving too much. Okay. And so no judgment, totally unconditional, just knowing what's happening. And so time boundaries. So we are able to put boundaries on our time, which I thought was really good that they dropped that in. Also your services. Okay. So those of you who are on, I'm trying to think how they want me to say this. So services. So with services, it's almost as if, okay, so for those of you, I feel like this is I've already shared this, but let's go there with it. So services. So those of you who may have multiple services. So I know if Karen is here, she's incredible at being with animals. She's amazing with animals, and I also know that she has other incredible intuitive gifts, okay? And so we get to decide when we are going to share those gifts and how and in what time frame, and also if we are feeling good about being reimbursed for it or having that being monetized, having our services monetized. We get to decide that, okay? And so with that, I guess, for example, this is what they're sharing with me, and I hope this resonates with somebody. I feel like it does resonate with somebody, either on now or on the replay, and that's why they're dropping it in. So, for example, I'm also an occupational therapist, and so with occupational therapy, they come to me, I have a half-hour session with me, they leave, okay? And so if I was to see, the clients that I'm seeing, like in the grocery store or something like that, they're not going to say, hey, they're not going to ask for advice, okay? They're not going to ask for an evaluation. I'm not going to do an evaluation in the grocery store with them, okay? And so looking at that, looking at some of the other professions, occupational therapist or a doctor, right? You're not necessarily going to go up to a doctor and say, hey, in the grocery store, I got this elbow pain, da, 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 da. He's not on the clock. And so recognizing that with our intuitive gifts, we have control there as well. And so we get to decide let's say what the space is that we're going to share our spiritual gifts. We get to decide, like for occupational therapy, I have an office, right? So for my spiritual services, I also have an office. For my spiritual services, I may go to a fair. And so just thank you for the hearts. I'm glad this is making sense. And so just being able to recognize that we get to even choose the space in which we're sharing these insights. And so I can, if I want to, I can share insights at the gas station if I want to. I get to decide that. If somebody's maybe asking me questions in the grocery store about their loved ones, I get to decide. I get to decide and say, hey, here's my card, and here's my scheduler. Go ahead and make an appointment. I get to decide that. You get to decide that, okay? So those of us who have this higher intuitive hits and whatnot, we get to decide that, okay? And so with that, it's really assisting you for being able to be within your own and having those boundaries. Okay, they're giving me this one too. I've already said this, but with the listening, with the active listening, I used to rely on other people. I love you so much. Okay, love you, loves. Thank you for being here. I love that. Okay, thank you, Nichelle. Is that I used to want other people to swoop in and save me from like when I was being that active listener, when I was being too active listening. Like it was really funny because my boss at the clinic, I would be in the waiting room and I'd be like listening to like a client's parent, and I could see her in the glass window, and she'd just look at me and I'd look at her, and she'd come out and she'd be like, hey, and take over the conversation. And it was really sweet, but I can't expect her to always do that. I need to also make sure that I'm being able to put those boundaries on. So they also drop that in. I just want to make sure I'm doing all of this. Okay, so then thought patterns. So putting boundaries on our thought patterns. Okay. So this is it. And then we'll just tie it all together. If you have any comments, questions, whatever, go ahead and, drop them in. Again, they're delayed. So just to keep that in mind as well. I see them a little bit later than you do, sometimes up to a minute. So here it is. Boundaries on thought patterns. Okay. Thoughts are just thoughts. That's it. That's all. And so simple, right? But what happens is we get into these thought spirals, okay? We are, such an incredible, advanced human at this point in time. Those of us who are spiritual seekers, whatnot, we're very, very advanced already. And we have like our ancestry, we have their mechanisms in place as well. And so we have a very in tune fight or flight response, very refined, okay? Except that we don't need it. And so I've shared this before, but our ancestors, like some of them slept under the stars, like they needed to have that fight or flight response, and they needed to have it boom. Well, for us, I feel like because ours are so heightened or refined, what happens is we really rely on that. And so some of these thoughts, we allow them to spiral and spiral more. It's almost as if, I don't want to say, this is not judgmental, but almost like we're looking for something wrong sometimes. And so to recognize that we don't need to do that, that thoughts are just thoughts. Here's an example, and I think it's interesting they're bringing this up, and I hope this resonates with somebody. Sometimes I'm really tired. I don't know if anybody else is really tired here, but okay. I'm guessing some of you are. sometimes when I get really tired, I go into a thought spiral. I'm like, the reason why I'm tired, I'm frustrated, I'm disappointed, I'm, any of these lower emotions is because, and it's almost like my mind's looking for something of why I'm feeling this way, right? And so I've really had to retrain my brain that when I'm tired, right? That's it. And I don't necessarily need to even go into emotions. Like I don't necessarily need to go into anger, frustration, disappointment. I don't need to do that. And if I do go there, which is fine, it is frustrating when you're tired, then I don't have to go into thought spirals of blaming somebody else or blaming the situation or why did the dogs bark last night or anything like that. So I feel like they're also sharing, like, you can put boundaries on your thoughts. And so it was interesting because I didn't sleep very well 2 nights ago, and I woke up and I was just having a hard time with my thoughts, right? And last night I slept a little bit better, but not, hey, I get woken up at 3:30 as well. And so I'm trying to put boundaries on spirit. And it was interesting because this morning I woke up with different thoughts, almost like the 2 nights of sleep were kind of similar, but at the same time this morning I changed my thoughts. So I think what they're sharing and what they want me to share with you is the boundaries on your thoughts, that you can also have boundaries on your thoughts and you can change your thoughts. Okay. So one more thing and then I'm done. So if you have any questions or comments or anything like that, go ahead and drop them in if you have any questions, and I'll definitely look at this post later for those on the replay. Also, as we're trying to go through this, it may feel like we're slipping back, right? It may feel like, okay, I had boundaries and then I didn't have boundaries, and what's wrong with me, No. What it is really just retraining and practicing and retraining and practicing, right? So I'm not going to share how old I am, but I have a lot of years. I have a lot of years of retraining, reprogramming, right? And so what I love about, okay, thank you. You do that often. Okay, thanks, Karen. What I love about working with children is that they're just learning, right? And I get to watch them and witness them. There was this little boy who was using a rubber band for the first time. It's probably pretty easy for all of us to use rubber bands, but it was the first time he had ever used a rubber band. He was 10 maybe. And so I was like, you use your 3 fingers and, you put it on and then you twist, you pull your thumb out. I have to know all this stuff. I've examined how to use your fingers and your hands for function. And so anyway, I was teaching him all that. And then he got it. It was really fumbly and whatever else. And I go, oh, was that your first time ever doing this? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, that was really good for your first time. And I know that's like off the wall, right? But I'm definitely very enthusiastic with these kids. And then the second time he got better, and the third time, and then the fourth time, and the fourth time he nailed it, right? And I think about that for us too, is I just think, oh my gosh, like all this retraining, reprogramming, et cetera, that we're needing to do, like to really celebrate us. Like, is this sometimes like, what if it's a thought that's been so continuous for you, so consistent for you, and then all of a sudden you bring it to awareness and you're like, ah, and then you really have to pat yourself on the back. Like, oh my gosh, I just brought this thought to awareness. It's been spiraling for years, and then be able to work on it. And I think also with the kiddos that I work with, we say, that's better. You're getting better, right? I know it sounds super like, I don't know if you're going to say that with yourself, but at the same time, you really need to pat yourself on the back for this. You really need to pat yourself on the back and be like, you know what, I'm doing the best I can. This is the first time I've brought this particular thought to awareness. And now I get to figure out what to do with it. Good job. And next time I'm going to catch it before this thought spiral goes 10 times in my head. I'm going to catch it on the 5th time that this thought spiral is happening, and the next time I'm going to catch it on the first time. I'm going to feel this and see this thought spiral come through mine, rejection. And I'm going to catch it on the first thought. I'm not going to let myself spiral, right? So we're just getting better and better and better. And so to super duper pat yourself on the back because you are getting better. Even just having this information helps you to get better. So I thank you for being here. And again, if you have any comments or questions, they're a little bit delayed. But at the same time, I'll definitely be on this video later. And I feel like I'm going to give myself kudos and pat on the back, is that I have had to put boundaries on how much I give. And I feel really good that I think I shared this in another video, on the affirmations video, just that I need at least 2 nights with my son. And I love that Monday night I'm able to do the angel card pull. Tuesday night I have off with my son. Wednesday night I have off with my son. And then Thursday I have choir. And then Thursday my husband, Dov Corbet, he's going to do a Facebook Live tomorrow evening. And so it feels really good that I've put boundaries on that, where I'm not having a slew of appointments at night. I'm also just doing Facebook Lives on Monday night, so I can spend Tuesday and Wednesday with my son. And it feels really good. And it's interesting because I'm like, wow, I just feel so calm with that, knowing, of putting boundaries on like that. And so I'm like, kudos to me. And I also want to share that there are times that I will be doing Facebook Lives at night, because I know people work during the day. We have different shifts. I'm just kind of talking to people on the replay. And at the same time, I'll probably do it when my son is out of town, because my husband and my son, they go up to McCall, Idaho to go and work with the family business, so I get to decide that. So I'm just saying, like, kudos, and it feels amazing. And so again, I want to give you high value. And so with that, I am able to put boundaries on that for myself. So I can give you high value. Okay. So again, thank you so much. And thank you, Christy. That was so sweet. You deserve it. Thank you, Karen. So again, any questions or comments, go ahead and drop them and I will get back to them. So have a fabulous, incredible day. Thank you for those who are here on the live. Thank you to those who are watching the replay. So much light and love and so many blessings to you. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Talk to you later.